Welcome to Sandstorm. Now, assuming that you have installed Sandstorm on the default location, which is on your C drive, the Sandstorm installation directory would look something like this. So if you have a look at it, there is the Sandstorm Zone JVM, and then there are a few data folders and other directories, followed by some executables. To get started, first you need to do is you need to generate a license request. For that, here is the utility, which is the license key generator. And you can double click this utility. This will generate a license.req file, which is the request file. You can send this to Sandstorm support and we can provide you the evaluation license. Now, to get started with any performance testing tool, the first and foremost step you need to perform is to record your test case. And for that, in Sandstorm, you have this recorder component. Once you double click the recorder, this is how your Sandstorm recorder UI looks like. Now, to start recording, you need to hit the record test case or record test script button, and your recorder would be all set to perform the recording. Now, the way Sandstorm recorder works is it captures all the communication which happens between your browser and the application. To do so, Sandstorm uses a default port of 8000 set on the local host, and this is set as a proxy on your internet browser. So let's see how this works. So let's first begin by setting up the proxy manually. So we go to your Internet Explorer, go to Internet Options, Connections, and here you can set this proxy server manually. But if you want to avoid the pain of doing so, you have an option directly provided from the recorder itself. So once you hit the record test case button, you need to provide a test case name. And here you get the option of selecting whichever browser you want to use for your recording. So currently we support Mozilla, Chrome and Internet Explorer. Since I've already set up the proxy, I'm not choosing that option, but you can also select the clear cache and clear cookie button so that any of your older history is automatically deleted from the browser. So let's start with our recording. So here you can see as soon as you start recording, you get an option where you can specify the name of your transaction. So let's say here is my first transaction, and on the browser, I go ahead and perform offloading my home page. So here is my application URL. So you can see here that in the recorder, these requests, they have got captured as a result of loading my home page. Let me go ahead and complete this flow. So next is I perform a login transaction corresponding to the login activity which I'm going to perform on my application. So this is a sample shopping cart application which I'm using here. Here you can see the requests they have got captured. Let's move on. So as you keep on marking the transactions, your activities would get encapsulated within that transaction. So let's go ahead and complete this use case or the workflow. So once my complete use case is recorded, I can stop the recording. Then what the recorder does is it allows you to select for the dynamic parameters and it automatically applies the correlation. So for now, I'm skipping this step so that I can show you in detail the parameters. Let's move on. Now you need to provide a name for the test case. So remember what we recorded was a test script, and now what we are creating is a test case. And the sole reason behind keeping these as separate entities is if you make any changes in your test case and you mess up for some reason with some of the parameters, etc., you can always go back to your original recording by creating a new test case from the test script. So that way your original recording remains intact. Then we have an option of performing a debug run. So I'll come back to this later. Let me just finish the recording. So once my recording is finished and my test case is created, this is how my test case would look like. So on the left hand side, you have the transactions and the requests. So these are the requests which were captured as a part of a particular transaction. On the right hand side, you can see the request headers, any parameters if they're going with the request. So for example, in case of the post request, we have the request parameters as my user ID, which is login, and the password. Here you have the headers, the content which is going along with your request, and also you get an opportunity to have a look at the recorded response which was captured during your test case recording. So this will essentially help you during the later stages when you go into do advanced parameterization. Similarly, all such requests are there and their corresponding parameters. So let me just save this test case. And now my test case is ready for execution for a debug run. So let me go ahead and perform a debug run. So here you have the play button. You can simply ignore the think time for now. Now Sandstorm provides a detailed logging and detailed debug run option. So we'll see the difference in these two in a minute. So let me just first perform a simple debug run. So once my debug run is completed, on the bottom you can see the transactions and their corresponding pass or fail status. Now, if you go and select a particular request in the test case, in the response renderer, you should be able to see the corresponding web page. So here we have the different web pages and their content. So for example, this is one web page and the content is here. On the right hand side, here you can see the request response. So here is the request, original request, which was sent along with these parameters. Here is the response and here is the rendering. You can, if it is not visible, you can always go and look into the execution log, and in the execution log you can see each and every request along with their response. If you want to perform a debug run, you can simply select this option, detailed debug run, and hit OK. So here you can see a remarkable difference. Each request is individually mentioned over here with their pass and fail criteria. So here you have those requests and their pass and fail criteria, the time taken, average time taken for a particular request. Now, the times, the response times which are visible here, they are mentioned for one single user, but we all understand that load testing is more about executing it with multiple users. And for that, we have another component about which I'll talk in a minute. So once your test case is ready, what you can do is you can also upload this test case to our cloud portal. And from here, you need to register to our cloud portal first. And from here, you can sign in with your account and then connect to your cloud portal, the Sandstorm cloud portal, and upload the test case and execute it from the cloud. If you want to execute this from the desktop variant or the standalone variant, which we call, then what you need to do is you need to use the controller component. So here is the controller component. This can be used for executing your test case with multiple users. And then you can analyze the results using the analyzer component of Sandstorm. So this was just a little bit about Sandstorm to get you started. We'll talk in detail about the other features of Sandstorm in our next sessions. Thank you all very much.